Very happy to have you. And I just want to get to it because you recently commented on Instagram. A fan said they wished that you would dominate the paint like Brooke Lopez and DeAndre Ayton. And you said, tell y'all coach to play me more. And I could.
Shots fired.
You averaged 25 minutes per game with the Lakers in the regular season, 21 minutes a game in the playoffs. So explain, tell us the issues you had and how you see how things sort of panned out.
Well, one, it wasn't an issue to begin with. I used that to I'm actually launching an NFT on Friday, so that was just to get everybody's attention to really look forward to something.
Well, we will ask you about the NFT too, but that's interesting strategy.
Strategic.
Very strategic. I just did what I needed to. I got the attention. Now I'm talking to you guys, so I get to talk about it more.
There we go. Well, I will ask you then the more broad question. Were you happy in a Laker uniform this season?
Yeah, I enjoyed myself. I think my time and experience in LA has been really good. I think I've learned a lot, being with those guys, LeBron James, Anthony Davis.
Oh, we lost Andre there for a minute. There we go.
Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my experience in LA was really good. I really enjoyed myself being out there. I learned a lot, and just looking forward to what's next.
Nice.
Andre, big fella, big perk here. Hey, look, with the centers and bigs starting to dominate the game again and bring life back to the center position, who's the best big in the game right now in your eyes?
Best big in the game.
Look, and you can't say yourself, all right? I
wasn't going to say myself. Jokic is up there. I think Jokic is up there right now. Joel Embiid, obviously, is another dominant big. Anthony Davis, give him respect as well, too. I think that's pretty it right there.
So you going with Jokic as your number one?
Yep.
Well, who you going with your number one, Perk?
I'm going to go with Jokic. He won the MVP.
All right,
one thing about me, Rachel, is that I'm not going to straddle the fence, all right? Go ask me, I'm going to tell you. I'm going with Jokic.
Amen.
Big fella, Andre, what's up? It's Matt Barnes here. Question, you were caught on camera in Game 3 when Braun was backing down Crowder. You were doing the back down move, and everyone kind of saw it. You guys ended up winning that game, but that sparked the Phoenix Suns. They went on to win the next 3 games and win 9 straight. Did you think the mimic and having fun at the time was going to really cause them to lock in and go on the run they made?
For me, my experience in the playoffs was very pleasant. So for me to have a win in the playoffs, I was excited, cheering my teammates on. Regardless of what it looks like, there are people celebrating their own ways. So did I think it was going to become a big thing? Not really. That just was an in-the-moment thing where I just was hyping my teammate up. He was having a good run.
Absolutely.
Well, look, you had a finals prediction, right? That I
come back. You can't just not. But AD doesn't have to be 100%. Now they're going to get out of the West. And part of that's going to be because what happens over the next month. This Lakers squad did not have enough to win very many games, as we could see, right? Schroeder is their best player by far, and they just don't have enough firepower to win. And LeBron and AD are going to be out for a while longer. What Andre Drummond can do in the meantime, guys, he's probably going to average, just walking onto the club, 20 and 15, right? Something like that, because where's the scoring going to be from?
At least 15.
Yeah, 15. He grabs a lot. So, I don't want to – I know advanced analytics can tell you, but his impact on the game is limited because of X, Y, and Z. But he can play basketball. He's good at basketball, and he's big. So you have not a 7-footer, but somewhere in that area of a guy who can score and rebound and help keep your head above water while you're waiting for the superstars to get back. That'll improve their record. And then when they do get back, Drummond either gives you great minutes as a backup 5, or you play AD at the 4 with Drummond at the 5, and you have twin towers. The Lakers will get out of the West, provided AD's at least 80% of what he normally is.
I totally agree with you there. There's no argument here in that regard. Let's understand something. Andre Drummond is a career 13.8 rebound per game player. 13.8 for his career. For his career. I'm looking at his numbers, Max. This dude has been in the league 10 years. The only time he has not averaged double digits in rebounds is his rookie year. The only time. The only time.
He messed around, get you 17 boards a game.
This dude is a rebounding machine. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and a career 53.8% shooter from the field, shot about 49% in his 2 years with the Cavs. But, he plays around the basket. He ain't trying to take jump shots or anything like that. rebounds, putbacks. That's what his specialty is. So when I look at it from that perspective, and your primary offensive players is LeBron James, along with Anthony Davis, and you're kicking it out to shooters, and you have a guy like this dude who's capable of giving you cleanup duty. And oh, by the way, of the 13.8 rebounds he's averaged in his career, Max, offensive rebounds, 4.7. 4.7. Right. So you're talking about a guy the extra possessions cleans up. That's a huge, huge deal, particularly when you consider the number one team in the West right now is the Utah Jazz with Rudy Gobert. When you've got that as a consideration, when you've got the Joker as a consideration in Denver, when you've got Nurkic coming back and what have you, if you've got an additional big body, somebody who's physical and prioritizes rebounds, and getting you extra possessions, and more importantly, limiting other teams from getting possessions because he's snatching those boards, that puts more pressure on opposing offenses to be more efficient against the Los Angeles Lakers, coached by Frank Vogel and his elite staff, whether it's Hollins and Phil Handy and the rest of the crew and Lionel Hollins and those boys. The bottom line is you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, and I definitely think the acquisition of Drummond secures them coming out of the West for this season, assuming that Anthony Davis is going to be about 80% or better.
Especially after Denver makes a move, and there are other teams that make moves. But there's another way to look at it that's kind of like from a broader perspective. The Lakers didn't have enough starting caliber players.
Yep.
They have two superstars, Schroeder, and no one else is really a starter. KCP is not quite a starting caliber player. He doesn't do any one thing well enough to start, right? Does a lot of things well enough to come off your bench. Kuzma's not a starting quality. He's a rotation piece for sure.
Right.
I'm not dissing him. Like, he can play,
right,
but he's not a starter in the league. Drummond's a starter in the NBA. Yeah. And Schroeder's a starter. Now, all of a sudden, you look at the Lakers and you go, it's not just that they have two super-duper stars. Right. They have other guys who are starting caliber in their rotation.
See,
Montrezl Harrell.
Here's what makes it interesting. They're sending a message. You're not beating us in the interior. You're not doing anything against us. If you're going to beat us, it's going to have to be from the perimeter. Now, we look at the Clippers. For the most part, they're a perimeter team. We look at Phoenix. We look at Utah because of their ability to shoot threes, even though you got Royce O'Neal and Rudy Gobert anchoring their defense on the perimeter and in the interior. Offensively speaking, even though Rudy can give you something, they're primarily a shooting team. You're going to have to be able to hit perimeter shots in order to beat the Lakers. I don't believe that's going to be enough to beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis unless you are Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. So that is the only shot, as far as I'm concerned, that anybody's going to have to take out the Lakers.
Yeah, like what someone brought this up. I'm trying to remember who it was on the radio, my radio show, Max Kellerman Show, 2 p.m.
Yes,
Eastern.
2 p.m. Eastern time.
Radio. Yes,
2 to 4, right? 2 to 4 Eastern time, right?
That's right.
Okay,
yes. LeBron and AD cause such matchup problems for everyone because you take a guy, you mentioned Royce O'Neal, excellent defender, right?
Excellent.
The problem with LeBron and Rudy Gobert, the problem with LeBron and AD is that's not a matchup for LeBron and AD. These dudes are 6'8" and 6'11", and you need O'Neal to be 6'9" or 6'10", and you need two of them against the Lakers. The Drummond move is a strong move post-deadline for a team.
Good practice. He's in shape. So I know he hasn't been playing, but he's in shape and he's ready to go. He's a little rusty. He's going to have to get back that touch around the rim, and he's going to have to get that touch back out there. But he's excited to be out there. I think the bigger question for me is just chemistry-wise, what does this do to Marc Gasol? I mean, that's a proud guy out there who's giving up his starting spot here because this is what they needed to do to get Andre Drummond. And it's, Marc Gasol goes to the bench now. And he has not had a great year for the Lakers by his standards, by their standards. He's coming back from a bout of COVID. That was tough for him. But this is not what he signed up for in LA. And Frank Vogel's got a job on his hands of managing that.
What do you think, Robert, of that chemistry issue? And we know that Mark is, he's normally a good get-along kind of guy, but he's a guy who's also, done a lot of things in this league.
Yeah, it gets to a point in the league where you understand your role. And as a player, you want what's best for the team. And Mark's that type of guy. He knows what's best for this team is for him to step aside. He knows he's not playing well. He's still not in shape from that COVID episode. So hopefully, this will give him time to really focus on his body. This is time we can go get extra conditioning to be ready because you're going to need Marc Marc Gasol. You're going to need his outside presence because we know LeBron loves playing with him. He loves his ability to see the game because he always talks about his IQ. So with him on the floor, he makes the people, LeBron and AD, much better.
You know, if this season in particular, and especially this moment in the season has taught us anything, look at all the injuries to the top players.
Right.
Look at the injuries to, you know, you've seen it with Joel Embiid, LeBron and AD and Steph being out. You've seen it so much. So you need guys, you need bodies. Now, you know, if you allow Mark to relax and get himself back into shape, like you're going to get an opportunity to play. This has happened to every player that I've ever played with that understands roles and what your opportunities are. Some days you'll be in the lineup, some days you won't. If you look at last year in the postseason, you know, Dwight and certain guys played in certain series, they didn't play another series. So it's all about your skill set and what you bring. The worst thing that Marc Gasol could do is be upset, be frustrated, allow himself to get out of shape, but he's a professional. This is what he's going to do. And I think he probably saw this coming. He's had conversations before Drummond signed. He was like, hey, what's going on? And it's like, look, I want what's best for the team. Are you okay with that? Should we waive you, allow you to go someplace else if you're going to be upset? That wasn't a case, so I believe that he's on board.
And when we look at Andre Drummond, Ramona, obviously the Lakers went after him pretty hard, didn't get the trade going for Kyle Lowry that they were interested in. Can you take us behind the scenes at all? How did they pitch him, and how did he end up picking there? Because, you know, he had other places that he could have gone.
Look, this is a showcase for him. He is a rental, and I know he said, I hope it's for longer than this year, but if you know how the salary cap works and the hard cap works, like, unless he wants to play for a vet minimum next year, which he is worth a lot more than a vet minimum, or even that $9 million exception that all those teams have. I mean, he's worth a lot more than that. So this is an audition for him to show what he can do on a winning team. He has not been in a situation like this before in his NBA career. I think he's really happy to be here, really excited. And he turned down roles with teams that have more money to pay him in the offseason to be in Los Angeles. And the way the Lakers got him, and they essentially said, you're going to be our starting center. You're going to play a lot of minutes. You're going to be able to showcase yourself in a winning situation. And he had to kind of look within himself and say, do I care more about the money? Do I care more about establishing myself in a place where maybe they could re-sign me, where they have the money to do that? Or do I care more about putting myself on a championship team, contending for a title like he never has before? And does that establish your value more, especially if he's going to be starting and playing a lot of minutes?
He asked himself,